Hi everybody, my name is Brady and I'm a 19th century American historian and we are back with another React video, and today we're going to be doing more salmonella. But before we get started, I want to shout out the newest channel members. This looks to me, to my American eyes, to say Christopher Stoback. I'm sorry if I am pronouncing that wrong, but that's the best I can do for that one. And we have the YB Flower. So thank you both for becoming channel members, and all of you who have become channel members over the past few days. So if you want to become one, there is a link in the description box below. And without further ado, let's get started with the video. So today we have Scandalous Popes of the Middle Ages. This should be a lot of fun. I've learned a little bit about the Middle Ages, but I'm not great at the subject. I'll say that about most subjects, but it's studied very differently from the stuff that I study. It's just different approaches that a historian of the Middle Ages might have from what I might have to it. But I'm very excited about this because I know the Pope is kind of a scandalous position throughout the Middle Ages. I've heard stories of at least one Pope that threw sex parties, which I don't know how true that story is. It was kind of just casually told to me, but I trust the source, so I'd imagine we're going to run into some stuff maybe like that, but we'll see. Let's get it started.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Hey kids, time to alienate 23.9% of the United States from my potential audience, because today we're talking popes. Now don't get me wrong, the modern papacy is a great thing. Just a genuinely virtuous man being elected to govern and set an example for Christians everywhere. That's awesome. But back in the day, not so. See, in the Middle Ages, the church was one of the greatest powers in the Western world, having massive influence over monarchs and laymen alike.
The Pope today kind of confuses me. Like, technically he's considered some sort of a monarch, right? In the Vatican, formally his position is considered as a monarch of some kind. I don't know exactly how it compares to other monarchies as far as what power he has within it, but I'm very interested in hearing a little bit about how that. I don't know if we're going to get into anything like that. This is probably going to be much more dated stuff, especially since we are focusing on the Middle Ages, and I'd imagine a lot of their policies have probably changed since then.
And as we know, with great power comes great tomfoolery. Here's some of the
Indeed.
less wholesome popes that history has to offer. Pope Stephen VI assumed the pontificate in May of 896, during a time of great instability for the papacy, where rulers and families of all different shapes and sizes were vying for influence over the Catholic Church. As such, successive popes from this period often had different ideas about how things should be run.
It's a great story of the struggle between churches and secular kings, because if you have control over the Pope, that gives you a certain level of legitimacy, and the Pope wants power too, to a certain degree in a lot of these cases, probably especially the ones that he's going to be going into. So backing the right horse is probably really important.
Stephen, for example, didn't much care for Pope Formosus, the guy before last. Why? It's complicated. Even if I could wrap my head around all this, it'd probably be boring as hell. So just take it on good faith that Steve had a lot of beef with Formosus. So much beef, or as we call it, papal bull, that Stephen couldn't even be happy that the dude was already dead. So he had the 8-month-old corpse of Formosus dug up, dressed up in Pope clothes, sat down on a throne, and literally put on trial, with a deacon appointed to give all his responses for him. So you thought
I have heard this story, and it's one of those things where at first you don't fully believe it, but it was being told to me by a history professor, so I am inclined to trust that he knows what he's talking about. That's absolutely hilarious. It feels like a Monty Python bit. Not just because they have Holy Grail, which is supposed to be in the Middle Ages or whatever, but it really does feel like this could make an amazing comedic sketch.
you could get away from the law with that little dying stunt of yours. Well, tell me, Mr. Thrombosis, did you violate canon law, commit perjury, and pretend to be a bishop when you weren't? Yes, pasta fazool, I am a fool. I've heard all I need to hear. This court finds you guilty, and everything you did as Pope, we legally declare to be fake and dumb and stupid and dumb. Now throw him in the river. What? The river? Can he do that? See the hat? That means I'm Pope. P-O-O-P Pope. You better three-point that bitch into the briny deep right quick, or I'm gonna race...
I just giggled at a poop joke. Um, it's not that hard to get me to laugh. That is like as kind of a political tactic, though, kind of clever. If that Pope maybe put some policies in place that you disagree with, this is actually, while it's very silly, and a lot from the time is silly, there is something very smart about it too, because it's a great way to get a lot of those old policies thrown out. I don't know how serious everybody's going to be taking him, though. It's so weird because I can't really get into the like mentality of a lot of people in the Middle Ages. I find it a little bit harder to relate to. Some people are able to like make that connection really well. They can connect to certain time periods. The Middle Ages, like that sort of mentality has always been a difficult one to reach. So I don't know how serious people would take this, or if it looks as ridiculous to them as it does to me. It's hard to say. Probably not.
Is hell. Metaphorically. So they throw him in the river. This whole thing caused an uproar among Formosa's supporters, and after Formosas's corpse was allegedly seen performing miracles at the riverbank, Stephen ended up being overthrown, imprisoned, and executed by strangulation. The body, now slimy and disgusting, was fished out of the Tiber and reinterred in St. Peter's Basilica, where it rests to this day. Next,
it's still there.
John the 12th. This guy
my
looks
God.
like one of my characters. Why don't we just, yeah, there we go. This guy ascended to the throne when he was just 18 years old,
works.
which is insane. If I was elected world's biggest hat wearer at that age, you better believe things would get real unpapal real quick. I'm talking gambling, hookers, setting fires, and toasting to the devil. And when you know it, these are all things John the 12th did.
Okay, that is him. I think he's the one I heard about who threw like the sex parties, because like the gambling thing, I think that was also part of the story. Okay, okay, that's not at all surprising, I guess. You see a lot of religious figures even today. Like we don't need to really get into specifics of Catholic priests, but there are plenty of them who partake in stuff that it would not be expected of them, I guess. And at this point, we kind of start to expect it of them. So I guess in hindsight, this isn't as surprising, especially for an 18-year-old. Like, what can you really expect when you give that much power to somebody like that?
It's said that he took the sacred palace and literally made it into a whorehouse. Matter of fact, while researching the guy, I stumbled across this list of sexually active popes. This is a real Wikipedia article. Take
I've
a hike
seen that
toilet
one.
paper orientation. Daddy's got a new favorite. John is featured prominently on this list, of course. He had a thing for widows for some reason. Personally, I'm not big on weepy old hags. I'm more of a carefree young hag type of guy, but to each their own. He also banged his niece a bunch, which not the most virtuous act, but you know. Middle Ages. Bloodline, fucking whatever.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, yeah, that's totally effed up, like, in any context, but also the Middle Ages, so that's probably one of the least effed up things you're gonna find in this video. Jeez.
Playboy lifestyle eventually caught up to him, though, leading to the Synod of Rome, where everyone got together to talk about what a piece of shit he is so they could kick him off the throne. Besides all the deviancy, there was a lot of things they had problems with. For one, someone once offered John some money to ordain a 10-year-old as a bishop, and he was just like, alright, I would have done it for free, honestly. Look how big those robes are on him, that's hilarious. He also had a deacon ordained in a horse stable, just like, oh, for fuck's sake, alright, let's get this over with. Shouldn't we be doing this in, like, a church? Listen, bucko, if it's good enough for Jesus to be born in, it's good enough for you to have your little cardinal party.
I mean, he makes actually a good point there. Like, seriously, like, you don't need all the pomp and circumstance. You've got the Pope with you. If he speaks for God in this situation, then you should just probably take his word for it. Jeez, hold on. Let me just go back like a good like 20 seconds. So it was right here. So they talked about what a piece of garbage he was and wanted to get him kicked off. That is something that I find interesting because he is kind of a monarch in some sense. I don't know how it necessarily relates to ordinary monarchs at the time or today, but there is a system for removal. So that's actually really interesting there, and I wonder how that really works with scripture. I don't fully even get what the Pope is sometimes. It's I know this seems like kind of a stupid thing to say, but like I don't really get it. So he like speaks for God or whatever. So are they making the argument that like he's been corrupted or something like that? Because he's supposed to be like this holy man or whatever. Should he be able to be corrupted, and how do they rationalize that? I don't get it. There's way too much here for a layman like me to understand based solely on this video. I'm gonna go back to where I was before.
It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, alright, let's get this over with. Shouldn't we be doing this in, like, a church? Listen, bucko, if it's good enough for Jesus to be born in, it's good enough for you to have your little cardinal party. No, sir, not cardinal, he's just a deacon. Not if you keep running your mouth, you aren't. He also like going on hunting trips now and then, generally considered to be something popes don't do. Although my suspicion is that they were just tired of cleaning his big stupid camo hat every time. Probably his worst act, though, was putting on a helmet, followed closely in second by the time one of his subdeacons got on his nerves, so he literally cut off his dick and murdered him. So between all this and some conflicts with Otto the First of the Holy Roman Empire, John was uncanonically ousted in 963. Except as soon as Otto left Rome, nobody was there to pressure him off physically anymore. So John was like, lol, just kidding, rounded up all his groupies, kicked the new pope off the throne, and continued his rule like nothing happened by early 964.
What a Chad, am I right? Like that's actually really I mean, regardless, he's going to have people who will follow him regardless. I said regardless twice. He's going to have these people who are going to take his side over secular kings because he is like this representative of God. They might be more likely to suspect that these secular kings can be corrupted than this actual holy man, which... What a boss, kind of. Like, he's awful, but that's kind of impressive.
Just a few months later, fate caught up with John, and he died the way he lived.
It would.
Committing adultery. Now let's be real.
Hold on. I want to read that.
John, and he died the way he lived. Committing...
According to Liudpran of Cremona, John died whilst enjoying an adulterous sexual encounter outside of Rome, either as a result of apoplexy or at the hands of an outraged husband. Oh, I've heard that story of like he okay, so he might have been killed by a husband. Okay, that totally makes sense. Ooh, Bird did a good poop. I'm gonna give him a good seed because he did good poop. All right, let's continue.
Adultery. Now let's be real. We all have our little guilty pleasures in life. Some people like a nice bag of Cheetos. Others like scented candles or poorly drawn educational videos. Alexander the Sixth liked watching horses fuck. According to Vatican chronicler Johann Burckhardt, he would specifically arrange for his stallions to be introduced to mares in heat outside his palace, and he'd stand up on his balcony to watch them violently mate, which just tickled him pink for some fucking reason, and he'd laugh uproariously during the entire spectacle. He also once...
So this isn't... It's not like a fetish, it's like he thought it was like amusing? Like, that's so... Like, I think of people who watch animals fight. And for some reason, that makes more sense to me. Though I don't fully get that either. But for some reason, that makes way more sense than this. But the fact that I can't explain why that makes more sense... This is strange. I'm hoping there's more to this story, but what more could you even add?
Once threw a party in the palace called the Banquet of Chestnuts, also referred to as the Joust of Whores. Wait a minute. Horse jousting. Horses banging. Was dyslexia a thing back then? Nah, but during the banquet, Alexander had 50 of Rome's finest raggedy harlots line up and strip down for him and his guests, which, by the way, included 2 of his children, which, by the way, he had many children, but at this point hardly a concern. Guests began throwing chestnuts at the ladies, who got down on their hands and knees and scrambled frantically, like the cook at Denny's when they held him at gunpoint, trying to collect as many as they could. After this went on for a while, Alexander was like, alright kiddos, game time. Whoever can bang the most broads before the night's over wins Rome's finest silks, and the only condition is that anybody who makes a joke about nutting on someone's chest gets disqualified. It's too easy. This is all according to that one Johann guy, mind you. Some secondary sources differ pretty significantly on the more lurid details of all this, so do take it with a grain of salt. But
okay, because I'm not even, I'm having a hard time right now trying to even, like, he has his little visual depictions, but like I can't really picture what it actually would look like. Was this a competition? Like, I get that the one thing was a competition or something, but the nuts thing, were they collecting them just to collect them? Was it like whoever gets the most gets something? I don't get the point.
But at the same time, this guy was the official record taker for the ceremonies he was involved with, so it seems equally likely to me that the other guys just wanted to save a bit of face, but who knows. In the end, primary sources are usually the most reputable source of information. After all, what better way to learn about stuff than from people who have direct experience in the subject? That's what...
Yes and no. I mean, it depends who you're talking to, but you can learn a lot from primary sources even if you know that they're wrong, because you can learn, like, what people wanted you to think, which I think can be equally valuable depending on what you're talking about. A true mastery of the primary sourcing, it's very difficult, and I'm far from there even in my own area of study, so that's a thing. But yeah, I guess given that guy's position, from the little bit that I've learned about him through this one video, yeah, he's probably one of the more trustworthy positions you could think of right now, unless he had like a reason to lie about it, which I don't know if he would.
That's why you need to try Skillshare. Skillshare is an online...
Okay, I watched through ads as kind of like a courtesy. You can skip through it on my video if you want, but you better feel bad for it if you do. I'm going to sit here and watch it.
Learning community with over 25,000 classes in design, business, technology, and more. Premium membership gives you unlimited access to high-quality classes on must-know topics, so you can improve your skills, unlock new opportunities, and do the work you love. Let's say you have some kind of grand goal you want to achieve, like, say, starting your own papacy and taking over the world. Skillshare's got all the resources you'd ever need to bring that goal to fruition. You got 10 ways to boost your natural charisma, very important with any new religion. How do the wealthy create tax-exempt wealth? That's a given. Basics of balloon twisting, just because they say children are the most important ones to indoctrinate, you know, the whole Joe Camel theory, etc. Join the more than 7 million people already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for my viewers. The first 500 people who visit the link in the description will get 2 months of unlimited access to the 25,000 plus classes on Skillshare for absolutely free. So please, start filling up that void in your skull you call a brain today. Anyway, that's all for today. Till next time, I'm Sam and Nella, and thank you for watching.
I really liked that one. That one was interesting. This is something that I think, by virtue of how many figures he's talking about, it probably waters down the depth of the story a little bit, and if I want to know more, I'd want to find something specifically on each individual pope, and I could probably get greater detail on it. But this is an enticing introduction. It's very interesting seeing how power can corrupt even holy men of a sort. I thought this was a rather fun one. And the ridiculousness of the Middle Ages only makes it better. I'm sure there's plenty of corrupt popes outside of the Middle Ages, but this is... it has a special level of goofy, gory nonsense that goes into it, so I think it was cool. Thank you guys for watching this one. If you have any other Salmonella videos you want me to check out, let me know. I know you will. Like this video if you like this video. Subscribe for more. I'll be back tomorrow. and become a channel member. There's a link in the description box below if you'd like to join. That's about all. I will see you guys next time. Bye.